Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 56 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. Today is Sunday, December 11th, 2022. Running out of Sundays in this year of 2022. Christmas is coming up on us, and so we're going to have some Christmas tournament talk on the show tonight. We're going to talk about some basketball results from around the area first, but Mike, Christmas tournament talk is going to be on the agenda, as well as the postseason sites for IHSA basketball are out there.
Postseason sites and assignments as far as what sectional you go to. You don't know what regional you go to yet, or you don't know what seeds. And the IHSA strategically always release those on a Friday at about 4:00, so nobody's at school anymore and no one can bitch.
Yep. So that's the agenda today. We're gonna talk all about it, and we can also, since it's kind of a big week for a few of the teams in our area that we cover, we can kind of look at briefly look ahead at what some of the games this coming week are, because it's there's a lot of Cross Creek action going on in the area, so we can touch on all that. But
good thing the creek is low this week, Whitey.
As far as the week that was, as is our tradition here on this show, we don't have any idea what we're going to talk about first, but I'll just kind of pitch it to you and say what anything stand out this week that you want to start with.
Yeah, let's start with T-Town boys.
Let's do it. They had a good week. Got a couple of
Tuesday had their homecoming game against Paris.
Yeah.
Yes. Paris got a couple athletic kids, but just T-Town warmed down, and I think ended up beating them 30.
73-39. Yep.
Yeah, 73-39. T-Town, I thought, played better. Homecoming week, things can be screwy.
Sure.
Then Friday night, they got to go to Bloomington, so they got all homecoming week, all the festivities. Then you get on a bus and ride to Bloomington and play Bloomington Central Catholic, who I think was Aaron Britton had 8th in 3A or 8th in 2A. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very good place to go play, and Shoes won by 12.
Yes, 75-63. Yeah.
I did not get a chance to watch it on NFHS. I talked to a couple of people who did. Very impressed the way the Shoes played. By far their best game of the year. Probably also you could say their toughest opponent they've played this year. The Central Catholic's a little different than Bree Central. They're a little more loosey-goosey up and down the floor. Got a kid, Serta, I think is his name, can flat shoot it. And Shoes went up there, beat him, and pretty well had the game in hand most of the game, I was told.
Yeah, I don't have scoring information from that game yet. As far as
it was the three usual suspects: Nieberge, and Seamer were their top three scorers.
Yeah,
I don't know what order. I was told James had a really good. James Nieberge had a pretty nice game though.
Well,
it was a little more aggressive.
Let's talk about James Nieberge, because that's a good place to start here, because he, in the Thanksgiving tournament, he scored 32 points, but 19 of them came in one game. So you do the math, the other 3 games, not a lot there. Since then, he's been in double figures. If he was in double figures against Central Catholic, which it sounds like he was, that's 3 times in a row. And that's kind of, it's probably something that we say every week, and it's not really anything very profound, but you need your second and third options in the offense to be able to put up those kind of numbers, to take some pressure off of the Caleb Seamers and Brendan Nieberge's of the world, right? And so,
well, you're exactly right. And the biggest thing is teams are going to focus on Brendan. Obviously, their best defender is going to guard Brendan, okay? And their best big defender is going to guard Caleb. So those 2 kids are taken care of. Jimmer's got to be able to outperform their second or third best defender And James is athletic. I think he gets it from his mother, but he's very athletic. And there's a lot of upside there. And, when he's aggressive, looking to do some things, not just slash and go to the hole and rise up and take that, stop and take that 12-footer, shoot the wide open perimeter shot. Paris left him open. He buried a couple threes. Now you throw in the Joey Nieberge and the rest of the cast of characters, they can become a problem. So as this team, and you used it when we were talking beforehand, as they gel, they become a very dangerous team because number one, usually they're going to guard you. They may have an off night defensively, but for the most part, they're going to guard the heck out of them. And now, if they feel they can score, and then when these guys start scoring, they can't just clamp down so much on Brendan and Caleb, and a lot of potential upside there. There's a lot of opportunity for them. They just got to, continue to perform and knock on wood, stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb's he's gonna do what he's the leading scorer, and he should be. Like, look at him. I mean, a kid like that needs to be scoring 13.5 points a game, and however many rebounds he's getting, I'm sure that's a healthy number too, right? Like he should be a double machine. Like, I get it. He's a high school kid. I don't want to put undue pressure on anybody, but he's built to dominate, right? And so he should.
And he's pretty solid. He's got good footwork inside. He does some nice things. I think there's a lot of potential there for him. I really do. I
think the battle, as far as my understanding, has always just, has been to keep the aggressiveness up for 4 quarters, and that's true of any team, any player, in high school, is to keep that focus from the opening tip to, whenever the game is at hand or when you've been taken out. But yeah, Brendan Nieberge he's kind of been feast or famine. He's got 3 games leading into Bloomington Central Catholic where he'd scored 14, 15, and 16, but then also in the other 3 games, 2, 3, and 4. So there's kind of all or nothing, but it averages out to 9 points. And the thing you mentioned, Joey Nieberge, he's had some pretty healthy games, right? And that becomes especially big when you can have a 4th or 5th option that can still pop off for 16 points against Tolono Unity. That's a huge luxury.
And Joey's what, 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", pretty athletic, can shoot it. He's just got to have the confidence when he shoots it and does things. And I'll tell you, the kid who's not scoring much now for them, but pretty soon is going to start putting up more points. I thought he played really well against Paris. Is Gaddis.
Oh, Garrett Gaddis. Yes.
Garrett Gaddis. I love his confidence. He shoots the ball with confidence. He guards. He plays with it. I know it's hard to believe a kid from T-Town guards with a little attitude. And he's got that chip on his shoulder when he guards people. And he just he does some good things. Very good shooter. I really look for him to really start stepping up and scoring more points for him.
Well, and the thing is that he's their 5th leading scorer. He was at an even 7 going into Bloomington Central Catholic. And if you look at his game by game, he's pretty much right in that area, right? And that's consistent. There's something to be said for that consistency. And again, having a team with 5 guys averaging 7 points or more, that's pretty solid. Nobody.
Yeah, and I think he will start becoming a regular kid, scoring around 9 to 12, 9 to 13 points a game. I really do. I really like the way he plays. And they're the other kids that play a lot, Mitch Custer.
You got your Blummer, you got Logan Repke,
Blummer. Those guys, they're going to get points for you. They play hard. They do some things. Custer's probably a little better shooter than the other 2. I don't know. But, they're going to get their minutes. They're going to get their opportunities. But I really think the bulk of your scoring will predominantly come from those first 5 kids will become.
Sure. Which is fine, I mean, that's not to get too sidetracked, but like I went and watched Neoga and Cumberland's boys play last night, and those are 2 teams that would kill to have 3 scorers. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I hear they're playing for a trophy now. They got the Cumberland County Trophy or something now.
Yeah, there was some, the girls and boys both played, and there was some sort of hardware exchanged. Not a whole lot of fanfare that I could see, but yes, there is a traveling trophy. So
like the old spit bucketers, some of those, the spittoon they play for Purdue, who's Purdue in Indiana, play for the bucket.
Yeah, it was nothing with that much character. It looked to be just a standard trophy, but yeah, anyway, we can get to that in a little bit. But T-Town, yeah, they've got and they've got I'm looking here. I didn't look up to see what they've got this week. That was the one.
Tuesday, the Hearts come across the creek.
I knew that one.
And Saturday they're in a shootout. I think they play East Peoria.
Oh, that's right. Chet talked about that, I think, when we had him on for the preview. See, I went through and got all the NTC and all the Apollo games all written down on my schedule here, and then I forgot the Independence. But yeah, Saturday T-Town is at the Eureka College, the East Peoria shootout. East Peoria Eureka shootout, yes. So,
and they play East Peoria, correct? Or Peoria Christian.
I'm looking at the X's website, and all they have is that they're at the shootout. So
I forget exactly who they play.
I'll look it up so that we don't look like we're not completely out of it, but I'll find that, and we can talk about something else while
all right, let's go to the Hearts.
Okay. Effingham's boys are 3-0 in the Apollo Conference. And granted, they've played Taylorville and Mattoon, and both of those teams are still winless, not just in the conference, but winless, period.
Right.
But they beat Muhammad Friday night. And Muhammad is kind of probably a middling team too, but still Effingham is, they're 4-5. They've had a couple of other games that were tight. They lost that shootout game the previous weekend.
Mascouda beat them in overtime.
Yeah.
Saturday night they played Mount Vernon and got beat
by 12, 71-59. Yeah. And Effingham, they beat Mattoon this week. They beat Muhammad this week, 50-44. And then they, again, hosted Mount Vernon, lost that one by 12. But, Mount Vernon, traditionally pretty good. So, I don't think there's, I think we've probably already said this before, but, Effingham is showing improvement week to week. And if you went and saw them in their first game at the Thanksgiving tournament and then didn't watch them again, you would not have the correct opinion of the team, I don't think, right? Like
I agree with that 100%.
I think that they're a team that they're going to play some really good teams this year by the time it's all said and done. And I think they're not going to be very much fun for those teams to play against. You go up against a Lincoln and a Mount Zion. I think that there's a pretty good chance that they could be very annoying to one of those teams. I'm not going to say that they're going to.
And this isn't your dad's Lincoln team, too, either. Yeah. They're Lincolns.
And Mount Vernon 6-2.
People.
6-2, by the way. Mount Vernon is. So they've, they're off to a good start. They beat Taylorville by 23 points. Just as a measuring stick, as another team that Effingham played. So Effingham stayed tough with them. I don't know. Again, I don't want to fall into the trap of saying this about the Hearts every week because that's boring. But again, I just think that they're really, really figuring some things out. Guys that didn't necessarily get, varsity starter minutes in the past that are, figuring out how to be varsity starters and doing a pretty good job of it. And they've got 3 double-figure scorers. Kyle, Splector, and Wolf are all.
Well, I was told Logan Isle had a real nice game against Muhammad. Kind of held his own in the paint and pushed the Muhammad boys around.
Well, and that's kind of the thing about playing Muhammad, right? Is that it seems like they've always just got some bruisers, right? They've always got some big kids that, are football players who play basketball for fun in the off season, but you can kind of tell it's the way they've always seemed to me anyway. So, yeah, it's Effingham is, and they were kind of last year, Effingham had its struggles, but they always gave you a game. And I think that this year it seems like they're going to win a few more games probably and still be that kind of team that just makes the really good teams that they play feel like they've been in a game, right? Like I don't think they're going to get walked over a lot. And I don't want that to be like a backhanded compliment. I really don't. But they're going to be playing like Mount Zion a couple of times, and Mount Zion is just really good, right?
That's pretty good.
And I still think that there's going to be some good contests in there. So, the Hearts are a fun team to watch. It'll be interesting to see what they do against T-Town this week. T-Town is obviously, hitting its stride as well. So I think I'm kind of fascinated and that's the one game I do get to broadcast this week. So I'll be interested to see how that one goes.
I'd wear a sweater. White. It's probably going to be chilly in the building.
Yeah, that one's a JH Griffin, right? Yeah, I'm definitely going to see if I can borrow somebody. I'm going to wear my coveralls, I think.
There you go. Well, and you've got supposedly heavy rain. So that means it's going to be warm. So when it's warm outside and it's wet, then the floor starts getting wet and it just turns into a circus.
Yeah, I've seen it before. It seems like
I've been there, done that.
Always get one or two of those games, JH Griffin, every winter where it's just a little unseasonably warm and conditions are just right. But I'm sure everybody in attendance will take it in stride, and nobody will get too hot under the collar, nothing like that.
Nothing you can do about it.
I know.
And it's kind of funny. Effingham, they had to deal with a wet floor. Was it this year in a game?
I do recall a game where people were sliding around quite a bit. Matt Toon
game.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, you start getting that temperature just right, and you get body heat in the room, and you start getting moisture. It just happens.
I got to tell you, Matt or Mike, I'm a little worried about Matt Toon and Taylorville. I'm a little worried for these teams. I don't ever want to see anybody put up a goose egg. But and I guess one of them won't just because they play each other.
Play each other twice.
But boy, it's a little rough this year, and
what happened? Hey, I went through a 1-22 season, Whitey. Nobody felt sorry for me.
Well,
and I won that game in overtime, by the way. Just saying.
Who was the lucky team that got knocked off by
Palestine? But they beat me once or twice. They beat me once, so I think we end up splitting the season. I lost three of my first 4 games by a total of 6 points. Went 1-22. I lost 3 of my first 6 by a total of 6 points.
And now all those kids have
3 of my first 4.
They all have to play together now.
Yeah, now they share a team. I'd have won 6 games if I had an all-star team like that. We were bad, Whitey. We were bad. Actually, it's 2 wins because we had a team forfeit to us, so I'm taking 2 wins.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. You take that win.
Yep, I'll take it.
Just real quick, other Apollo things to note, I guess. Again, Mount Zion 8-1, Lincoln 7-1. One interesting one to me was that Mount Zion played Olney this week, and Olney is, by all reports, pretty solid again. But the Little Illini, by the way, there's 4 or 5 really good teams at the top of that boys conference this year.
Flora beat Newton. Yes.
Now, Flora beat Newton, and Newton hadn't lost it since that opener against North Clay, which then they got revenge, later on, actually this week. But Olney is pretty good. It looks like Mount Carmel's pretty good, and actually Lawrenceville is off to a really good start.
Yeah, I heard Lawrenceville has some good young kids coming. So
yeah, So that's a interesting one. I quit keeping tabs on the LIC so much this year just because it was too much to do with my free time and nothing besides Newton that we really directly care about very much.
People are in and out there. Don't worry about it.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, again, Taylorville Mattoon struggled. Mahomet and Charleston seem to be kind of in the middle there with Effingham. Lincoln again 7-1, but last year Lincoln didn't put a lot of points on the board all the time, and it seems like they do that sometimes this year too. They'll beat you in the 40s sometimes. They'll be happy to.
Yeah, I do know they're not the team they've been in the past. However, there's the title still goes through Lincoln. So
yeah, and this is their last year, so they'd love to. I'm sure they would love. I always
Neil doesn't want to not win the conferences last year.
Yeah, I always wonder how much stuff like that means to the kids, but I think if it means something to the coach, and the coach is, an institution like Neil Alexander is, then you sort of by osmosis they will understand, or they will probably not participate, right?
Yep. And he's a good guy on top of it. So.
Yeah, he really is. We went there for football did we go there for football this year or last?
Yeah, you did.
We were there for football this year, and he's the AD there too, so he deals with all the stuff, and very nice gentleman. He'll help you out with anything, and sorry to see Lincoln go in that respect, but they're doing what they need to do, and we'll see how the Apollo moves.
And wherever they're going, there's all kinds of issues going on. I'll tell you, in the next 5 years, Whitey, you'll see a lot of conference realignment and changes. So
I just don't think that we're ever
off air. I'll give you my tip for the day. It's an interesting one.
I'll tell you this much
about what's coming.
I don't think I'm ever going to operate under any assumption that things are going to stay the same. Although, I still think that the NTC is a small school league is going to be pretty consistent.
They're fine because they don't play the game that's oval.
Yeah, football, it's all football, and it's always been. It's, all the upheaval that's been going on for the last 20 years, it's all football. So, well, hey, let's finish up, boys. Okay. And shift over to St. Anthony here. I'm scrolling over St. Anthony. It was kind of we don't have to.
We didn't have Tuesday.
Yeah, they beat CHBC Tuesday.
That's right.
By 45 points, and then they beat.
And then big win for homecoming Friday night.
Yeah, they beat St. Elmo Brownstown by 30 points Friday night, and I guess that the only thing about that's a little surprising to me is that didn't think that St. Elmo Brownstown was going to get any 30-point losses hung on them this year, but maybe that kind of maybe things are sort of turning for the Bulldogs a little bit. They were
aren't they 5-3 right now?
Yeah, they're 5-3. They lost that opener to North Clay in the NTC, and that was the first time they'd lost a conference game in like several years. And I can imagine that's a motivating tool a little bit. I'm sure that Cody Rinker can tell everybody that it doesn't matter that much, and you can't dwell on these things, but it's at a certain point, like, it's got to be a point of pride to not have lost a conference game for that long. So when it finally happens, like, you're gonna get the troops in line a little bit, perhaps. And they beat Sullivan last week on Friday, and then they get these 2 wins here. Doesn't look like either one was a big test for the Bulldogs. They will have bigger tests this week. They've got to go to Newton on Tuesday. That'll be a very difficult game. And then they got Diederich coming in on Friday and Charleston coming in on Saturday. Charleston, it's hard for me to get a read on because they still haven't played very much.
They played 3 games.
Yeah, but Diederich could be. The Westendorf kid is one of the 5 best players in the conference. Okay, he's very good.
Sophomore, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't look it. That's the thing about these anymore. These kids, they're freshmen and sophomores, and you can't really tell anymore. They just seems like they're so physically gifted. But St. Anthony will they'll have a couple of tests coming up, and Diederik has come. They've won a couple of games. They beat CHBC last week too. They beat Neoga by a point. And here's the thing: they beat Neoga 45-44 at Neoga, but they were losing 16-4 after the first quarter, and ended up beating them. So, and Westendorf didn't score very much in that game. He was held pretty much in check. And I talked to Andrew Snow, the Neoga coach, a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, we did a pretty good job with Westendorf, but they just had that lull in the second quarter where they let Diederik back in the game, and then had a couple of chances late where they could have possibly still won it and couldn't convert on them, and then they turn around and get beat by Cumberland Saturday, and that game was 48-40, and it was just both teams offensively
Struggling.
They could use a third option, or maybe
Put the shot clock in that game, Whitey. Tell me how good that's going to be.
Yeah, there would be some pretty awful shots taken in.
Oh, that'll fix it. That game turns into a 78-76 barn burner with kids making balls everywhere. That's what people think. Sorry.
Well,
not gonna...
I mean, people can think whatever they want. I disagree. But Cumberland's it was a good win for Cumberland. They needed it, but for Neoga, it was kind of a not a very pretty game for them. So, anyway, other NTC stuff. I'm looking. North Clay, we already mentioned them, right? They got that rematch with Newton, or Newton got the rematch with them, I guess I should say, and beat them by 9 points. North Clay did beat St. Elmo Brownstown, and then they opened up the Wayne City tournament and beat Gallatin County by almost 30 points. So that Wayne City tournament has an interesting format. They have 4 pools of 3, and then they do flights after that.
We did that once at Christmas.
Yeah, it gets you a guaranteed 4 games, which you want, But
we had 12 teams. That's how we were in it.
Yeah. You get some pool play and some bracket play. It keeps things kind of interesting. So that's,
you just don't want that gold flight, everybody going 1-on-1 on that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. So if you got 4 pools of 3, then that last day you just have 2 semis and a final. So I'm sorry, I was thinking.
And South Central's over at that tournament too. So, and then the St. Elmo holiday tournament starts this week too. You got St. Elmo's in it. St. Elmo Brownstown is in it. CHBC is in it. Somebody else, Windsor Stew Straws is in it. Cumberland is in it. The one thing I'll say about that tournament is that Windsor Stew Straws got, I think, the 3 seed in it behind Cumberland, which having seen Cumberland now and having seen Windsor Stew Straws, I wouldn't go that way personally.
And that may be part of the reason we don't publish our seeds at Christmas, because it's at least these people have common opponents. We're dealing with people that don't have any common opponents.
Yep. Hillsboro's number 1 seed in St. Elmo. St. Elmo Brownstown's the 4. So it goes Hillsboro, Cumberland, Windsor Stew, and then St. Elmo Brownstown. And St. Elmo Brownstown, by getting that 4 seed, they're playing CHBC in the first round. So, I wouldn't want to have to play another one of my own conference teams in the first round of my tournament. Like I would, but I don't know if there's much you can do about it. Mulberry Grove, Ramsey, Patoka, I think all those unseeded teams there, or at least their seedings aren't on this bracket I'm looking at. They're all kind of equally struggling. So maybe it's just sort of draw them out of a hat sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. When we get to Christmas tournament stuff, Diederik also their seedings are out as well. So, or they're not their seedings, but the matchups are out. So we could talk about that a little bit. Any other NTC stuff?
No, and it's starting to shake out. It's the levels are now being formed. Here's the top 3, maybe top 4 teams. Someone beat South Central pretty good.
South Central, Altamont smoked them 72-45. Yeah, Altamont got beat by Newton Tuesday night by 7 points, but then they turn around, beat South Central pretty handily. South Central,
I think Coach Nieberg, he was at the game, the South Central game. I think he had strep, maybe.
is that right?
He was under the weather. Yeah, I saw something. He was applauding his boys for a great effort. The strep had just got the best of him, and he was on lockdown.
Also Friday night, I guess worth mentioning, Windsor Stew Straws played Shelbyville and got beat by 5 points. But my understanding is that Shelbyville's pretty good. So there's and that's Windsor had beaten Arcola 66-22 earlier in the week. South Central also lost to Vandalia earlier this week, so they had not lost before this week, and they took a couple. Right. So there you go. I think that pretty much covers it. Altamont. I'm looking at what Altamont's got this week. Carlisle comes into Altamont Tuesday, and then they've got the aforementioned Oblong Palestine Hudsonville co-op.
Woo-hoo!
Probably should not give them too much trouble.
The fighting Crawford Countyers.
But Altamont does go to the Greenville Shootout and play Bree Central on Saturday.
That'd be a good thing for them.
So that Altamont, there's some pretty good games on that schedule for them. They're
thinking ahead. That's how you get better. You play better people.
Sure, absolutely. Got to play some people to.
Oh, we like to be unbeaten. Well, you can keep playing the, tech over and over and over. Play good people, get challenged, get beat, and get better.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you go in your sectional with 25 wins. If you played the entire Egyptian Illini conference on the way to those 25 wins.
Yep.
I've had people get mad at me for pointing that out before in print.
Well,
it's the truth, I mean,
it's just like when we're working on the seedings in this tournament, and I'll give an example. Chicago Brooks is 1-5. Okay, two of their losses are to Kenwood and Curie, who are top 8 teams in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
With D1 prospects here and there. I mean, like big D1 prospects. They play a different schedule.
Yeah, it's hard for people here just to kind of wrap their minds around that because
I know. Oh, well, look, we got a better record. We should be ranked higher.
These teams are all kind of a mystery to us, I mean, if we're being really honest, I just don't have the bandwidth to follow it very closely, but I'm also not on a tournament committee trying to set up a good bracket. So let's go switch gears to girls. We can go in the same order if you want to. We start with T-Town and move through Effingham and then to the NTC. T-Town girls got a couple of wins this week. They beat Pana by 12 points on Monday night. I just sort of operate under the assumption that beating Pana is always a good thing, right? I mean, it's
Pana Paris, 2 people that are going to be in your sectional.
Yep. And then they beat St. Joseph Ogden real handily on Thursday night, beat them 52-28. So they've got they get a couple wins. Both the T-Town teams are 6-1 right now, boys and girls. T-Town girls have got they got to go to Newton on Thursday, and that should be they should probably win that one. They've got only on Saturday coming in, but then of course tomorrow night they've got a pretty.
Or do they go to St. Anthony?
They go to St. Anthony.
Okay. Yes.
Now that we'll get on some more St. Anthony talk when we flip over to the NTC girls, but I'm really interested to go see that one. St. Anthony is unbeaten. I think they are 10 and 0 at this point. But T-Town is going to be the biggest test they faced, and that's not Altamont might want to quibble with me, but I think the T-Town's probably going to be the biggest test they faced so far.
It is.
And I'll just be really interested to see, because this St. Anthony girls team is really good. Okay, they're really good, but T-Town's T-Town, and if you ask me to pick right now, I haven't even seen T-Town, so it'd be hard for me to really say. But I wouldn't want to try with what both of these teams are off to.
The biggest thing those schools sometimes run into problems is when they play T-Town is they just haven't played anybody that guards you like T-Town does.
Yeah,
and that's usually the problem. I mean, I think T-Town and Altamont last year played. T-Town handled it pretty easily, and they probably put a couple girls, this Nieberge on you guard her when she goes left. This girl, you guard her when she goes right. They can cause problems.
I'll be fascinated to see how young Nancy Ruhal fares against T-Town, just because I guarantee that as a freshman, she's never been guarded like she will, like you just mentioned, right? Like it'll be, but she kind of, having seen her in person now, she kind of strikes me as maybe it won't bug her that much. She seems pretty self-assured, pretty confident. But it's a different animal. And it's not just talk. I don't think. I think there's a lot of substance to it, right? Like it's and plus, there's always something about just the mental aspect of playing T-Town too. I mean, they're always good, right? And you can psych yourself out if you're not careful. So the good news for St. Anthony is that they're coming off of a really challenging week. So they had
what, CHBC and
Altamont. Yeah.
Two big wins there.
Yeah, it beat CHBC in overtime. We're kind of drifting into NTC talk now, though. But yeah, that's what St. Anthony did. So they're, they've been running. They've been tested, by some teams.
So the girls NTC is kind of lining up for the Neoga St. Anthony game
now. A little bit, I'll be interested to see how Neoga hasn't played any of those big, those front runners yet. So I'll still be interested to see what they do. They honestly looked a little bit. I hope nobody will hold it against me for saying they looked a little lethargic at Cumberland last night. I mean, they still won by 19, but the Cumberland girls played harder. That's my takeaway from it. Like, and you can't fall in that trap where you take an opponent for granted, but then again, you're not going to take St. Anthony or Altamont or CHPC for granted either. So I guess it's just hard to get teenagers in the right frame of mind.
You have those nights. I'm telling you, you have those nights.
Anyway, for the T-Town girls, again, they've got that St. Anthony game, and then they go to Newton. I don't know about the Olney girls this year. Olney comes into T-Town on Saturday. I'm looking it up now. I want to see what the Olney girls have done so far this year. Looks like they're below 500. So there's been, Olney has had some pretty good teams over the years, but looks like they're more of a middling team so far in the early going. So Lady Shoes, though, is going to get a big test Monday night. That much is certain. We'll see how it goes. Be interested to see how that one turns out. Effingham girls, also an interesting week for them. Let's see here. They got Charleston coming in. Tuesday. That shouldn't be too much trouble. Charleston
program's just almost non-existent.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see just what Charleston has, just like if they've got at least like enough kids to maybe play a little JV or something, because last year they couldn't even do that. But hopefully they at least get a few more numbers. But then, St. Anthony keeps bleeding into this talk, and that's because they come in to play Effingham Thursday. So St. Anthony goes from playing Altamont and CHBC last week to playing T-Town and Effingham this week. Like that's quite the little gauntlet to set for yourself. And that's not even to mention that they play Arthur Lovington on Saturday, which that was a really solid team last year. So, that's quite a 5-game stretch for the Lady Bulldogs. But then Effingham's got Lincoln coming in on Friday. And that's going to be a tough one too, because Lincoln hasn't lost yet. And obviously the Frobe
girl's pretty good.
She's something special. So, Effingham's they're gonna get their own tests on back-to-back nights this week, Thursday and Friday. Effingham they split this week. They beat Mattoon on Thursday night 45-40, but then Muhammad came in and held them to 26 points. And that's the thing about it that surprised me as much as anything. I mean, Muhammad beat him 46-26, and Muhammad had kind of, I mean, they only beat Charleston by 14. Okay. You know, they had lost some games too, which they had been beaten by, let's see, they got beat by Mount Zion. That's who it was the week before. But then they come in and, you know, they Effingham had a little trouble putting the ball in the hole that game for whatever reason. I don't know a lot of specifics about it. It's a Friday night game, and it just didn't go well for the Lady Hearts. So, you know,
Well, and Jeff's, you know, they lost one of their scores, didn't they?
The Donaldson girl hasn't been playing, you know.
Right. I know she's in. That's what it was. She's in.
But she also hasn't played. She hasn't played since the first week of the season. So
right. She got hurt then, but she was one of their better scorers, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she scored 10 points in their first game, and then I assume she got hurt in the Newton game. And that was it. You know, they've got Ella Nieberge has popped up, and she's their leading scorer now because she's been on a bit of a tear lately. 17, 13, 17, 14, 18. Like she scored 13 or more points in the last 5 games, not counting Muhammad. I don't know. I didn't get any numbers from the Muhammad game yet. But they've got 3 kids in double figures on their averages. Madison Mapes is at 11.5, and Bria Beals is at 11. So they've got, you know, they've had some kids step up, and they've been, you know, they lost to Muhammad, but they've been winning by and large. Like Effingham is 7-2 overall, so they're off to a good start. I don't want to like sound like I'm down on them. And also, right, no. Jeff's closing in. He's closing in on being the all-time winningest coach in Effingham high school basketball history. He's got the girls' basketball number, of course, but
yeah, he's about to pass Coach Maxton.
Yeah, he's going to pass Coach Maxton sometime this year, unless things go horribly wrong. Boy, now I'm going to feel silly because Dave Woltman told me before the Effingham boys game this week, I think he was 3 away from tying maybe and 4 away from setting it. I believe that's what it was. So they got 1 win this week. So unfortunately they didn't beat Muhammad. So I think the thinking was that he could theoretically cross the number against St. Anthony on Thursday night. That was in theory, like if everything lined up and went perfectly, he could do it then, but that's not a possibility anymore. The best they could do is that he would even the record against the Bulldogs, but that's going to be a tough test, right? Like St. Anthony and Lincoln on back-to-back nights. That's going to be, you know, probably the toughest 2-game stretch that Schaefer's club has faced all season long. So we'll see how that goes. But you know, they're kind of positioning themselves to where they could be in the top 2 or 3 in the conference. But Lincoln's going to, you know, how they fare against Lincoln is going to kind of show you, you know, how they compare. Lincoln seems to be the class.
Yes, yeah. In that conference, you know where Lincoln is, and then it's just everybody else, and you just gotta, you know. And Effingham, Jeff plays a tough schedule. He gets the games on there to make his teams better in the postseason. They scrap. I mean, they're going to fight everybody they play.
Yeah. Yep. All right. NTC girls, we've pretty much already touched on St. Anthony at this point, just by proxy of talking about the other local teams, since they've got, again, T-Town and Effingham this week. But again, they'll go to Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond on Saturday as well. And that should be a tough test, right? Like, I mean, this is a big stretch for St. Anthony. And again, I don't know if Aaron Rios was back for the CHBC game or not, but his wife, Stacy, actually coached the Altamont game this past. Right.
I think it was business related. He was out of town or something.
Yeah. And apparently it was pretty something pretty important, right? Like it sounded like it just couldn't be helped. But Yeah, I was at that St. Anthony Altamont game Monday night. St. Anthony won that one 76-73. Then they beat CHBC 72-64 in overtime on Thursday. Um, the Altamont game was interesting. Grace Nelson scored 56 points in that game, first of all, and has since become the all-time leading scorer in Altamont school history. She passed up Ryan Armstrong. She scored, I think it was 33 against Central A&M yesterday at Lakeland College, and that put her over the mark. And again, she's a junior, so she's gonna put that total way out of reach by the time it's all said and done. But that game was interesting. Getting back to St. Anthony Altamont, because St. Anthony had, I think they were up by as many as 18, and that was in the opening stages of the third quarter too. It's not like they ran.
Yeah, they had a decent lead, and then Altamont went on a run.
Well, St. Anthony, they played a 1-3-1 and got too handsy with their traps out on the perimeter and got a ton of fouls called early. Altamont was in the bonus in the first quarter, I don't know, after maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And that didn't come to pass. Like, it didn't bite St. Anthony immediately, because obviously they took a double-digit lead into halftime and were up by almost 20 at one point in the third quarter. But they had enough kids getting foul trouble to where Stacy Vonderheide and Anna Faber both got in foul trouble and had to sit at the same time. And when that happened, that's when Nelson started to pop off. She only had 15 points at halftime. She had 5 points after the first quarter, 15 points at halftime, scored 20 points in the third quarter alone, and then scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. And that was a lot of steals and runouts, a lot of layups. She hit some jumpers here and there, took it to the basket here and there, but a lot of breakaway buckets too. And that allowed Altamont to pull closer. But St. Anthony held on. That game was interesting also because there was a situation where and Faber picked up what appeared to be her fifth foul. And Matt and I worked that game, and we were like, okay, that's Faber's fifth. And the officials went to the scorer's bench and assessed the foul to 2-3 instead of 1-3. Okay, so 2-3 instead of 1-3. Faber is 13. Addie Nuxall is 23. Here's the problem. Addie Nuxall was not in the game. She was sitting on the bench. Okay. But after it was all said and done, there was some discussion and some talk about it. Like, they didn't just move on. They talked about it and they stuck with that. And so Faber got back in the game in the fourth quarter and played some more, and by all rights should have been fouled. They had subbed her out because I am convinced that the St. Anthony bench thought that she was fouled out. So that was a bizarre thing. But it was St. Anthony desperately needed like some solid experienced guard play, and they got it, late, and maybe shouldn't have had it. That's the only thing that's kind of interesting about it. But they hung on. It was, I'm not a coach, Mike, and I know you like up-tempo basketball. You don't want to take your foot off the gas, but it still has to be the right shot, right? Like when you're like,
yeah, even when you get a lead, you don't want to come down with an 8-point lead and have the kid you absolutely don't want shooting taking a shot off one pass. Your kids still have to realize their roles in an up-tempo game. I mean, I always told kids, you want to score more, get steals and go shoot layups.
That was the only thing about that game that I thought was that maybe St. Anthony was a little quick to shoot sometimes, a little quick with what shot they took. But like, it's also a catch-22 because like you don't want to take your kids completely out of the game that got them the 18-point lead, right? Like,
keep doing the things you're doing, and the problem is teams will get a lead, and then the kid's like, "Hey, I can now. Here's my chance to do something special and score." And then, I don't. Oh, we've been guarding the piss out of this kid. Now we're gonna oh, I can rest this trip. Oh, I just give up an and one or a three. And then pretty soon a 15-point lead is 9 in a blink of an eye because of, and I was, as a coach, when I'm trying to get back in games, I always use the verbiage, score, stop, score, stop. Score, stop, score, stop, score. We got a 6-0 run and we're right back in this ball game. And it happens. You got to keep doing the things that get you the lead. You can't, you can't start having kids or people taking quick bad shots just because you're up 15, 18. Oh, we're up 18. I can let this one fly. It's the worst thing when you bring in kids late in the game. I'd put my starters back in a regional once. We were up 30, start a fourth quarter, and I put kids in, and all they wanted to do was chuck and duck and not guard and foul, and I'd put my starters back in, White. It went from a 30-point lead down to like 16. I said, that's enough. You guys are done.
Yeah, especially
you're done. If you're not going to guard and you're not going to do what we're supposed to do offensively, you watch.
Right. Yeah. The stakes are too high to,
Yeah, that's in a regional final. 30-point lead in the third quarter. And I had to call a timeout and do some chewing in the fourth quarter.
And I'll just say this, and I don't want to be too critical of the St. Anthony girls because they're 11-0, and I've already said on this show tonight and many times in the past, they're really good, right? Like they're really good, one of the best teams in the area, no doubt about it. When they got beat by Neoga in the sectional final last year, they got into some pretty heavy foul trouble with their guards, and then just never did stop reaching. Lots of fouls 30 feet away from the basket. And that you kind of saw a little bit of that, at certain points in this Altamont game. And that's just, it's the kind of thing that,
you got to have discipline on defense. When teams are calling the reaches, you can't reach. If the officials are calling it, you can't do it. You have to adjust. You have to adjust your game to how it's being called. If they're not calling it and it's a physical game, then by God, you better strap your big boy pants on and be physical. Don't cry. They're pushing me. You push back.
Which is, I guess another reason why I'm really interested to see this T-Town game tomorrow night, because I don't know, if it's a typical T-Town team, they'll play physical with you if you want to, right? Like if the officials want to play no blood, no foul, then it could certainly turn into a scrap. So we'll see how that goes.
Many times.
Altamont 8-1 overall. That loss to St. Anthony was their first of the season. They turn around and like I said, they beat Central A&M on Saturday. That was their only other game this week. And Neoga's still undefeated. Neoga's 11-0. Neoga and St. Anthony both top 10 in the Class 1A polling. And Altamont getting votes. I don't care much about the polling, but they were recognized, so I will mention it. Neoga, they beat who they beat? They beat South Central. They beat South Central 59-27. But the interesting thing is that I was getting I had Mike Taylor, the AD at Neoga, sending me score updates. That game was like 16-13 at the end of the first quarter. So you do the math. It was a boat race after that. Yeah. They went to Tri-County and beat them by 18 Tuesday night, which my understanding is that Tri-County is still good, but probably not quite the same Tri-County team that made it to a sectional last year. And then they beat Oblong by 30 points on Thursday. They beat Cumberland by 19 on Saturday. So they won 4 games this week, but again, nobody's
they're not being tested yet.
Yeah, nobody's put their feet to the fire yet. Yep. They've had a few games where they've not played great for a stretch, but then they'll turn it on. And so I'm looking at this week for them. Altamont's got CHBC on Thursday this week, by the way, so that'll be an interesting NTC game. And Neoga has Brownstown St. Elmo, is that right? Yeah, they've got Brownstown St. Elmo on Thursday. That's Neoga's only. They've got Newton coming in on Saturday, and they've got Brownstown St. Elmo coming in on Thursday. BSE is 9-1, so they haven't played any of the big boys in the conference yet either, and so it's hard for me to know. But they're beating the other teams that they're playing by kind of the same margins that the other teams are beating them by, right? Like, they beat Martinsville. They smoked them. They beat Windsor Stew Straws this week by 30 points. That's pretty much in line with what some other conference teams have done to the Hatchets so far this year. So I'm interested I'm going to go to that game too, because I want to see, I want to watch Neoga. It's in town. I have a season pass. I might as well, but also I want to get a look at Brownstown. Interested to see what they're doing. And that's, I think that's Altamont's got North Clay coming in Monday night, and then they go to CHBC, like I already said. That'll be North Clay they beat Diederich by 20 points this week, and that was interesting to me because North Clay had kind of been on a bit of they played a couple of their toughest opponents and hadn't looked real good. Neoga and Effingham beat them, but then I've seen Diederich, I've seen North Clay. I'm not going to say I didn't expect North Clay to beat Diederich, but I didn't expect them to win by 20. So that's a good one for the Lady Cardinals. They turn around and they made that same Graves County trip this past weekend that North Clay boys made the previous.
Yeah, I saw that.
And went and got beat by 8 points there, but it sounds like they played a pretty good team. So, any other NTC games that stand out? I think I've pretty much mentioned everything coming up this week. So keep an eye on that T-Town St. Anthony game and the Altamont CHBC, Brownstown, and Neoga. Those are the three, and the St. Anthony Effingham game. Those are the four big ones I'm looking at. So,
all right, we're gonna change the order. We're gonna go to postseason.
Okay, so the locations and
I
the
got it.
sectional locations and sectional assignments are out. Obviously, they won't do the rest of it till later. But
right. But 1A girls, 2 regionals of interest for everybody we're concerned about will be playing is either Neoga or North Clay. And then the sectionals at Casey. And then the supers at St. Anthony. Great tip of the hat to Kevin and the guys for getting a girl super, because they're looking for gyms that aren't, they've had some supers in smaller gyms. So I'm good. And plus, you've got some really good teams from the area that somebody we've talked about tonight will be playing in that super section.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we've talked about Altamont, Neoga, St. Anthony, CHBC. They're all going to be in that field.
They're all in that mix
to feed into that super. And I can speak that a little bit because again, Neoga played in that super last year down in Wayne City, and it's not a huge gym, but it's a nice gym. And quite honestly, the atmosphere in there was fantastic. And you play that game at Carbondale, in a college arena, you're not going to get that same atmosphere because
girls will play either. I mean, they've always played at Salem in the past, and now they're not playing doubleheader there, so that's good. 2A girls, Carmi Flora are the host for the side they'll go to. They'll be at one they're assigned to. T-Town will be at one of those two. Payne has got the sectional. Salem has the super. 3A, FEM girls will either go to Marion or Mattoon. Centralia has the sectional.
Crossing my finger for that Mattoon trip.
Well, you would think Mattoon because you're one of the more northern teams there. So you would think there. Centralia's got the sectional. Taylorville has the super. Another nice place to host.
Yeah, listen, what I'm hearing here, just from the broadcaster's point of view, the media person's point of view, is that as long as Effingham can avoid having to go to Marion, there's no ungodly car trips in there.
No. Centralia's not bad. Taylorville's not bad. 1A boys, everyone is pretty well, for the most part, either South Central or Nokomis are the regional there. Okay. The northern teams, Windsor, Cumberland, Neoga, they either go to Cumberland or Tuscola. So Cumberland's going to host one, Tuscola's the other. They all feed into the Altamont sectional.
Yeah, nice.
Pretty nice. Again, nice facility. I like Altamont's gym. Nice place to host a sectional. And then the super obviously is down at Carbondale. 2A boys, T-Town, Lawrenceville are our regional hosts where our teams would be going to. Newton has a sectional. Good place.
Yeah.
I coached in a sectional at Newton, 1-on-1. So I was happy one night, not happy the other.
I was there.
Yeah. Awesome first night. That night would be Lawrenceville. We made 3-pointers from the locker room, we were on fire. And then Carbondale for the Super 3A. Muscuda and Mount Vernon are the options for a regional. And and for some reason, Whitey, I didn't write down the sectional where that feeds to, and that's my bad. I think you and I started talking, and I quit writing it down.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Boy, I've been to Muscuda. It's not
you want to go to Mount Vernon. You don't want to go to Muscuda. And
yeah.
you probably will end up in Mount Vernon because you've got more of those south and more of those westerly teams will feed over there. So I would feel pretty comfortable that that's where they would end up.
This is boys, right? Centralia is the sectional host.
Is a sectional. Okay, good location, great facility. So that's postseason. Came out Friday after 4. You know, the IHSA likes to do that. Do it after 4, so nobody will complain to them. You'll see the actual wherever people play. That'll come out probably early February. It won't be till then, and then the seeds are after that. Yeah. So, well, you got to seed it. So you got to seed it, and then that's when they split it. So
yeah,
and that's all done online now. You don't go to meetings anymore, so you don't have to stand in front of other coaches or speak in front of other coaches. I don't like that.
We've talked about this before, but it does.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like the idea that if you're gonna screw me over in a seed, you gotta say it in person, and then I can look you in the eye and say, I'm gonna whip your ass when we play, just because you're trying to do that. Because it happens, trust me.
Oh,
people will do that, especially in the way it's set up now. I'm gonna try to get so and so on the other side, and then our side will be easier, and then it backfires. And trust me, coaches are like, remember that meeting when you did that?
Now, is your seating at least is it completely anonymous? I mean,
I think it's released to the coaches. I really don't know. I think it is. Yeah, I know a postseason once where a coach did not show up to the meeting and his team was probably 3 or 4 seed and everybody seeded him last. I don't agree with that. He could have had a flat tire, been in a ditch, who knows?
Yeah.
But you screwed somebody because somebody had to play that team first round who wasn't supposed to.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not just about that team, right? Like, obviously.
Yeah. It affects everything.
All right.
All right, Whitey, here, and then last and certainly not least, and see these things here, like when they do the NCAA tournament, when they're locked in the room.
Yeah.
This is our technology here. We have 16 little cards with every school on it. And we kind of, when we start doing our seedings, so instead of everybody writing it down and then, wait a minute, and we play Ouija. We have a Ouija board. We lay these out. So my seeding committee met. We don't publicly say who the seeds are. We don't like to because based on your record, if you go purely on records, not good. Chicago, like I said, Chicago Brooks has played Kenwood and Curie, 2 of the best teams in the state of Illinois. The record's not very good, but you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Don't sleep on them. So at the teeth, and this will all be released Monday morning through the media. I've already sent some to the media. Actually, when we're done with this podcast, I will be emailing coaches and ADs the brackets right now. So we'll start on the T-Town side since it's the top of the bracket. First game at 3:00 will be Belvedere and Oak Lawn. 4:30 will be St. Anthony and Lutheran North. 6:00 will be Dixon and Chicago Brooks. 7:30 will be Charleston and Teutopolis. On the Effingham side, 3:00 will be Mattoon and Lincoln Way East. You get a chance to come watch Lincoln Way East, you may want to come watch it.
Okay.
We have some throughout this whole tournament. We have some very, very talented players. 4:30 will be Centennial in Newton. I just got a ding from a coach right there, Wayne. I'll answer him when we're done. 6:00 will be Knoxville and Pleasant Plains. Pleasant Plains is undefeated. They've only played 4 games though, but they're undefeated. So good one there. 7:30, Highland and Effingham to round out the tournament. So that'll be day 1 on the 28th.
Can I put this on the screen?
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, you just said it, so
Yeah, if you have the wherewithal to do that, I mean, so you have trouble getting the attaboy out, so I'm just checking.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, put it up.
You see that?
I see a blank screen. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and as you see there, the bottom team is home, will wear white. And then on Friday, the Effingham side will wear white. Because we don't want Effingham not to be the home team on their floor. So we just always kind of stack it that way. Again, the time and effort and head scratching that goes in, we've got results from every team, every game. The committee has that information. We've watched teams on NFHS. We've watched teams just on the World Wide Web, watched some video. It's not easy simply because you don't see the teams. Okay, Dixon, Knoxville, I'm not going to go up and watch them play. I look at their records. I talk to Aaron Britton every week, who runs the Nesto Hoops website. Great website, by the way. Show you the record and results of every game played in the state of Illinois. I touched base with him. I said, hey, team A, team B, which one do you think's better? I value his rankings, his statewide rankings, a little better than the AP, actually, because sometimes, not to knock AP voters, but sometimes they only focus on teams in their immediate area when
they absolutely do.
So Aaron's does a statewide thing, and if you look at his website, you're going to be like Christmas tournament. Every Christmas tournament a team in Illinois plays in, he has their bracket. He has every team that's playing there. He has the records. He has the results. It's an awesome tool, and I use it a lot. I really do. So that's where we're at. Next week we have guests scheduled. Our Rich columnist from Lincoln Way East. Jason Rhodes. Sorry, I was replying to a coach. He's coming. Jason Rhodes from Oak Lawn. Supposed to have Kyle Weber from Pleasant Plains. And if he doesn't forget this year, George Montgomery from Chicago Brooks, the defending champion of the tournament. So we get George on, he'll be good because George likes to tell stories. George has good stories.
That's the legend.
Well, when his first game in Effingham Gym, he pulled me aside and says, Mike, and he saw Uwe's picture, and he was a problem. He said, you know how tall I am? I said, I don't know, George, 6'9". He goes, well, I'll just tell you this. This part of my forehead is the height of Uwe's elbows. And he said, he'd get a rebound and he'd turn, and I had lumps on my forehead after we play Indiana. I said, George, he did it lovingly. He said, oh, I know. But Big Uwe would hammer me pretty hard with his elbow in the middle of the forehead.
Well, and that'll be good. So we talked to those coaches. We talked to coaches last year, and that was a good show. And then I imagine we'll have a little bit of a lull after that since Christmas falls.
We'll take Christmas Day off.
I'd like to kind of see the look on my wife's face if I said, yeah, we're going to record 7:00 on Christmas Eve, in the evening of Christmas.
No, Christmas Day, not Christmas Eve. I got nothing going on Christmas Eve. All of our Christmases have been moved around. I got a blank slate. Tell her Christmas Eve I'm open.
I'm not.
I'll be trying to keep my son's dog Ernie away from our cats, and it'll be fun. It'll be exciting here at the house.
Sounds like a good time. Maybe you get
some
footage of that, and that'll be our show this week for that week.
We'll see if Ernie eats any presents.
Sounds like a plan.
No, looking forward to the tournament. We'll talk to those guys next week. And then after that, Whitey, it's that lull. I always felt that the lull between Christmas and the NTC tournament. So I always feel like the month of January is it's like the dog days.
Yeah, but we'll get.
And then after the end of January, on my calendar, it was always the following week was T-Town week. And then it was 100 mile an hour after that, because you you were getting ready and you were getting scouting reports and you were getting tapes and you were looking at postseason matchups, and
Yep.
it's fun. And then you know what? It's over and you can't wait for it to get warm enough to play golf.
Or baseball,
Or baseball. I agree. No, baseball. So yeah, I'm hoping I get to start doing some games. I'm guessing during the tournament, I'll get to work on the T-Town side.
Seems like a fair bet.
Well, maybe not. I bet we'll have to see, because that St. Anthony plays at 4:30. Yeah, we'll have to see.
I don't know. I'm not in charge of anything. So
I don't.
otherwise I'd work every game, I'd make Matt and Greg take some more nights off. I'd be out every night.
Just, the bad thing about when you're working games on the T-Town side, it cuts into my time to talk to people in the hospital.
Yeah, less time for schmoozing.
And that's a good place to schmooze, in the T-Town hospital.
Schmoozing and sampling the wares.
Ooh, and there's a lot of wares up there.
Yep. All right. Well, Mike, I guess we've probably gone on long enough, haven't we?
Yep. We've droned on.
don't-
No one can say anything about these pairings on the tournament till Monday. So if I hear you got on here tonight and start leaking information, we will hold you accountable.
So I should am I not uploading the show until tomorrow?
Oh, you can upload it. Because as soon as you're done, as soon as we wrap, I will send the pairings. I will be emailing the coaches and the ADs the pairings. So
Okay. Yeah.
before you have it uploaded, their email should have a thing going.
Very good. And listen, we don't need we didn't spend a single second talking about Penn State, Illinois, and that's
I
perfect.
saw some of that game, not much.
I couldn't watch it. My daughter's 5th grade team was busy getting waxed by a couple of teams itself. So figured no matter where I was at, I was going to be seeing something kind of one-sided. So I don't
and
know.
then Indiana, Arizona was very ugly early. I was fighting with Hulu. I was trying to watch it in the living room, and my phone and my iPad, it said not available in your package or in your area. And then I'd go to the kitchen on Roku, and I could watch it through Hulu. But a couple horrible calls. Not the reason Indiana got beat. Arizona's
good.
They're long. They're big and long. And they're big. They're big. So they got a guy Kofi's size, but he's athletic. He's more athletic. He's more mobile than Kofi.
Well, here's the thing. And, Arizona's good. Texas is good.
Oh, I know they are.
And Penn State is
actually Penn State's pretty good. The Big Ten, other than Minnesota, there is no game in the Big Ten that would be considered an upset. Minnesota's not good.
I'm not ready to give Penn State any credit yet.
Sorry. Penn State is the oldest team in the NCAA. Average age of the Penn State players is the oldest of any team in the NCAA.
Well, that does actually make some sense, because it's not like they're sending guys to the NBA or anything.
No, well, but it's Big Ten's a load, and Indiana, they've been without their second guard, and the problem is they only got one, and sometimes he thinks, oh, I'm just going to foul the shit out of people. Oh, I'm now in foul trouble. Oh, we don't have any more guards. How does a Big Ten school only have 2 guards? That's what I want.
Well, I hope he does it against Illinois.
They play them twice. I thought they only played once this year. They do play Illinois home and home. So I'm checking my schedule for Indiana. I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to go over there and watch them play.
Well, I just hope that it goes better for Illinois than that Penn State game. All right, let's call it.
All right, works for
me.
All
right, we'll talk to you.
See you, bud.